All right, folks, once more with feeling. This is today is November 12th, 2018, Veterans Day. Now, as we know, Veterans Day was yesterday, but we're celebrating it today. And the Marine Corps birthday, hoorah, Marine Corps, was on November 10th. But it's been a great weekend, Veterans Day weekend, Marine Corps birthday weekend, and I'm topping it off with this live cast podcast you'll see tonight with, and what I mean by that is I'm going to put this up on the Facebook Live. You're watching this live as we're doing it. But then we're going to have a podcast which will go out this Thursday on OscarMikeRio.com. And I'm pleased to be talking to a cool guest who has really, along with Keith Hayes of Sinister One Productions and Anthony Arnold of Whoozoo, who has been there from the beginning, even though he didn't realize it. I'm pleased to introduce Army veteran Mr. Brian Richards from Massasoit Community College, who has a lot of knowledge and expertise in the radio industry. And I got to meet him at the first Dale Dorman Radio Day. And Brian, welcome to the show.
Travis, thank you so much. And again, happy Veterans Day to you.
Happy Veterans Day to you, sir. It's
Thanks,
nice
sir.
to say that. And this is what makes this day so cool is I'm sitting with another veteran and we're talking about media and content creation. But before we get into that, I really, if you wouldn't mind, kind of recap what is Massasoit's commitment to media and how does Dale Dorman figure into that?
Massasoit, you can tell it's live, but Massasoit, they really do like to push the radio, which is great because not too many kids at Massasoit know about it. Now, when I was there, I had them playing radio throughout the cafeteria.
Oh, really?
They went out and they got what they called Raspberry Pis. They were little, I'm not exactly sure what you call them.
Computers, right?
And they would have the signal go throughout the school.
Oh, cool.
Which is really great. You know, they had that going. But the thing is, they realized that it's another form of kids showing how to express themselves. There's a lot of kids there, and including myself, being an older kid, that you don't know how to go about things on a normal day-to-day basis. Like me, okay, I'm shy. Can't tell, I am.
What?
Straight up. But the thing is, I get behind the mic, golden, good to go, this and that. And, you know, you can joke around, kid around, and things like that.
Right.
It's fantastic. And the thing with the Massasoit doing, having a Dale Dorman studio, Dale Dorman was what I would like to classify in my eyes as the original knucklehead because I loved him because he was on WLVI, he was on the radio, everything you see, Dale Dorman this, Dale Dorman, and he was part of me growing up, you know. And when I went to the radio studio, they had the Dale Dorman studio and this and that. Everything there was donated from his family, from the boards, the mixing boards, the speakers, to everything. So his family knew that Dale wanted his legacy to go on, his teachings to go on. So they donated everything there so the kids could learn from Dale Dorman some more.
Well, it was just amazing. I mean, because I've been to 3 of them, right? Mm-hmm. And every year it gets better.
Yeah.
But the thing I tell people when they ask about it is I got to meet some people intimately involved with local and national media. They brought in voiceover artists. They brought in, theater people. They brought in video people, audio people, but also they had a real focus on radio and content creation. And it was just amazing because people just think you go out to Best Buy, buy some stuff, go on YouTube, and you're instantly a star.
No.
And you realize by seeing the Doug Meehan's there and the Lal Lapidas for Lal Lapidas how professional these people actually are. They're not some knuckleheads. They actually have really refined their craft. Mm-hmm. And so how's it been getting to be a part of that?
It's unbelievable. I didn't realize it. And again, when I use the term knucklehead for Dale Dorman, I use that endearingly because he was so good at what he did. He could act however he wanted,
right,
and he still got a good result. So that's fantastic. We had a radio show, Radio Classics, last April, I believe it was, and it was the last one that Massasoit was going to do because they've done them in the past. And we had people from like Scott Wally, we had like the Doug Meehan's, we had, I mean, every sportscaster from Massachusetts, we had all those people there, and we would do skits, we would do plays and things like that. And it's fantastic just to learn from those people. You sit down, you know, a couple hours before showtime, and they're just going through the scripts, and they're like, okay, and it's not a problem for them because they've done it. They've worked on their craft. And it takes a while to learn that. And just to see how they go about things, that, again, is like another class for me because you can have the people there right in front of you, like Hank Philippi Ryan.
Right.
She is phenomenal. She is phenomenal. She'll just sit there and boom, 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 go through her lines. Okay, she'll put it down, and then she knows everything.
You know, one of the stories, it's funny you mentioned her. She, in the first one, really stuck out in my mind. She's talking about how you shouldn't say no.
Right.
That you should be open to new opportunities that are very uncomfortable to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know, you want to get good at something before you actually do it. And she threw that completely out of the window.
Yep.
And she talks about an intern who chose to go home instead of helping her break the Michael Jackson passing away story. And it underscored how even though you might have to miss a lunch or miss a date or crack open a book, if you're not willing to be versatile, you're not going to go very far in this business.
No, and it's all in how far you want to take it. If you want to do well, you need to work at it, and you need to take those uncomfortable stories. You need to get those, bad events and things like that, like the Michael Jackson story. You know, they can take that, and that's part of history.
Right.
So to know that, okay, you helped break the story, you helped, devise how everything was going to go for that story. That's something you can't miss.
Well, in case in point, look at today.
Yeah.
This live cast, folks, did not start the way we thought it was going to start. It tested out all right. We had everything dialed in, and then we go live on actual launch time, and this is involved Semper Gumby, but I've learned so much by doing it. I've learned so much by getting out of my comfort zone. Usually, everybody knows who's on the podcast, Brian. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have any video running at all. Mm-hmm. It'd be 2 microphones and my Zoom H6, and we'd be going at it. We wouldn't even need the laptop here. Right. But I wanted to, I'm being forced to try to do something new and different. And I really want to thank you right now for allowing me to kind of toddle around, if you will.
Yeah, but please, I mean, it's me that should be thanking you because, again, you gave me this opportunity to learn from you. You know, you're setting everything up, and okay, I'm getting this all set, and things happen. Oh, it's a snafu. You know what? Okay, let's work through it.
Yeah.
And instead of just sitting here and throwing the whole thing in, still try to go at it and you figure it out. And kudos to you. Really.
Well, it's been an educational experience, and so as I've gone into veterans advocacy and done more talks with people and find out that veterans are trying to use creativity to really work through some of the issues they have and kind of rebuild their lives. There's 2, maybe 3 types of people that I run into. I run into people that started off with a blog, painting, their own little video series, a little Twitter series, right? And they've got this thing dialed in. They've been doing this for 3 to 5 years now. They know what they're doing. They've got it all dialed in, and they run it like a advanced hobby, almost like a business to them. Mm-hmm. They got the people who, for lack of a better term, they went out to Best Buy. They went on Amazon, bought some kits, threw it in their room. Got some shirts made, got some pins made, and they're doing this thing. And you watch it, and you're like, they've got the slick materials, they've got all the right stuff,
right?
But their stuff isn't any good.
And that's the thing. The one thing that they don't have is they haven't taken the time to perfect the craft. Now, all the people that I've interviewed, I mean, even from Professor Z at Massasoit, she's like, it takes time. She's been doing it, and she still, works down the Cape. She's still perfecting her craft. That's something that takes years and years to do. Now, it's not to say that there's kids out there that can't go to Best Buy or wherever and get it and boom, hey, they're all done. You know what? There could be people that like that. Then that's great. But there's other people that they want to get to a certain level. They want to get to, to quote a phrase, maybe it could be a Tom Brokaw or a David Brinkley, somebody like that good, where, you know what, you got to work at it and work at it. They didn't do it overnight.
No.
So it's going to take me a while. It's going to take you a while. It's going to take a lot of people a long time to do it. And I mean, you look at Jordan Rich, okay? Yep. Fantastic guy. He gave me an hour of his time. I interviewed him. He's phenomenal. He's been doing it constantly for years and years and years, just like Doug Mann, just like, a lot of other people. Nothing comes, I don't see anything coming easy. Some people could, you know what? Hey, it worked out. Everything's fine. Beautiful. But you know what? I need to put the time in.
Right.
So.
No, it is. And then the third type that I run into is they bought the stuff. They made a Facebook page, maybe an Instagram page, and they never launch. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a guy painting. It could be a guy doing what we're doing right now, but they never launch. And so I think you touched on the second one where I try to tell people because I'm still learning. Like today was a huge, humbling learning experience in a good way, right? But I'm willing to learn. But there's something missing when you're not willing to take the time. But why do you think people, go out and want to invest in this and then never really get their story, their brand, their idea off the ground? Because there's a lot of those too.
Yeah, it just, it may take longer than what they think. If it's something, because a lot of kids, millennials, I'll say, and there are some who aren't, but they're kids that they want a quick fix. They want, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get this result.
Right.
It's not going to happen that way. There's a lot of things that take time. I didn't get how I am overnight. I'm still learning. I mean, look what I've learned just sitting here with you.
Right.
So it does take time. And the thing is, there's a lot of people that think if they buy a mic, they buy this, they buy that, and everything's going to come to fruition. It's not. It's not. You need to put the footwork in. You need to put the time in to learn it. And if you want to learn it and you want to know how to do it bad enough, you will.
Yeah, and just real quick, man, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Professor Z from Massasoit, regardless, she wants you to come on board, be a student. But I got to watch her for the last 3 years work with the students on Dale Dorman Day. And it's my impression of her is, yes, she's like the, overseeing it all and making sure it all works right, but she's still teaching her students as you guys are putting on this event, and it seems like the students really respond to that.
They do, because the biggest thing that she and Professor Bowers teaches you by being one of their students, the biggest thing that they teach you is to have confidence in yourself. Because what she does now, it may look like in hindsight that she's, standing off to the side and, the kids are doing their thing and they're announcing this and that and this and that. She's letting them run how they do things. Now, she might be giving them a little bit of push. Okay, it's time to do this or it's time to do that. But, they're running it and they're having and learning confidence in themselves, which is a huge, huge thing for a lot of kids, especially in the radio sector, because you're going to get kids that are, shy. You're going to get kids that have other social, issues or things like that, and they really don't want to come out of their shell. Well, Lisa and Professor Bowers, by doing that, they're helping kids come out of their shell,
right?
Which is fantastic. That was the biggest, well, not the biggest, but that's one of the things that I really appreciated about them is they told you, what you needed to do, and they allowed you to go do it,
right?
Which is fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, she is awesome.
So I went to the first one. I met Keith. I met Professor Z. I met you. And I'm like, well, maybe I can do this. And the podcast gets started. And I can attest to what you're saying. There were some times, especially when I go back and listen to some of my first 30 episodes, I'm like, my God, these were god awful. They were really not good. But Keith made me go back and listen to them because he wanted me to understand how far I'd come. But I certainly agree with what you're saying, that it does take time. But are there any ways to kind of I don't know, shorten the learning curve, or is it just willingness to trial and error?
Everything in life is trial and error. You don't know. You don't know what you don't know until you do it.
Right.
Like, okay, your car could be running. You go to start it, you grind it. Oh, now you know. This is one of those things that you have to do it to experience it, to find out how things are going to work. Everybody nowadays, and I'm guilty of it as the next guy, everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants, okay, I want this done yesterday. It's not going to happen like that. You just need to, have patience, perseverance, and
Right.
it'll all come to fruition.
Well, speaking of fruition, even though there's a lot of emphasis on video media and YouTube stars and Instagram stars, radio is about that fruition of the human voice with either reaching out to another human being or having another human being in the studio. And I say fruition, but what I really mean is connection. And why do you think radio is still good for that?
Because, like in days past, when they used to do like the radio skits, like I was part of in last April, we did a radio show, and people still look at it like, okay, let me figure out who this person is or how this person is by the way they speak.
Right.
Now, you can speak and you can talk really loud, and somebody will think you're an angry person. Or you can talk really soft and they can think you're very timid. So that's a way that for you to get across to them, just to like break a barrier, I think, and to show them that, okay, you can be anyone you want behind the mic. You put the camera on, they see how you are. So behind the mic, behind the radio, like you got the old radios, and they can say, oh, this person's this. Well, when you meet them, they may be totally different. So I think if somebody's listening to you through the radio, then you're trying to make them feel the same way you feel about whatever you're doing. Like if you're reading a script, okay? If you're scared when you're reading a script, you want them to be scared while they're listening to you.
And that was the other thing. A lot of what I got out of the last 3 Dale Dorman years is if you really want to take your game to the next level, don't be afraid to take some voice acting classes or acting classes,
right,
to learn how to take words and make somebody feel something.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, like when I was there was multiple kids saying, you should take up an acting class. You should do this. You should do that. And I thought about it. My schedule was such that I just could not do it.
Right.
And would I do it now? Yeah, maybe. But I think you can learn a lot from actors. You can, learn how to enunciate. You can learn how to not pronounce your R's, things like that, And there are some classes in some colleges that help you learn to get rid of your accent, be it Southern, be it Bostonian, be it whatever. And I'm not getting rid of mine. I know that.
Yeah, but still, accents aside, one thing that I picked up from listening to Garrison Keillor, Rush Limbaugh, and Howard Stern. I mean, and I mentioned those 3 people because regardless of how you feel about them,
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, wow, that's a wide variety.
well, I did that on purpose because
Yeah.
regardless of how you feel about them
Yep.
and who they are as people and what they espouse, there is no denying that those 3 people are pros, experts, but not really maybe naturals at what they do.
They could be naturals, but okay, thinking that how long has Rush Limbaugh been doing it? How long has Howard Stern been doing it?
Right.
Didn't happen overnight.
No.
They had to practice their craft. You saw from Howard Stern's bio that it's taken him a while. So, it's something, again, you still got to practice it every day. There's papers that I go through how to pronounce words and things like that and learn to enunciate how I want to speak. And I'm not the best in the world at enunciating. I am how I am,
Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned papers. One of the things I see is a lot of podcasters will just try to wing it. I'm going to set up my stuff and I'll just ask questions and it'll be a good interview. And I really try to say, look, you want to, as much as you can with the information you have in front of you, try to learn about the person and what they are, rather than just wing it.
Right.
The more you know about them before you go into the interview, the better prepared you are to ask that off-ball question.
You're absolutely
if
correct.
the opportunity presents itself. And I really try to preach the preparation aspect. And how important is that when you approach a guest or somebody you want to land?
Well, look at it this way. If I was to interview you, okay, and I was going to ask you some questions about, your past. Okay, hey, you did this and this in the Marines. Then what about this? Well, you're like, wait a minute. You took the time to find out about me? That means a lot. And just like when I did with Doug Meehan, I found out a lot about Doug Meehan. I looked at his bio and I did some research on him, and I had 4 or 5 pages worth of information on him to ask questions and to revert back to. And it was funny because one example, like I said earlier, that I asked Doug Meehan, I said, the Massasoit's doing the show Grease. And I said, because I knew he did Grease at Westfield State. And I said, hey, if Danny falls sick, do you want to get in? And he just loved it because I found out more about him than the normal person would have. And he thought that was the best thing in the world. That would bring somebody like, wow, you really want to know about me. You really want to interview me. That just makes me feel good.
Lost my train of thought here for a second. Oh yeah, I know what I wanted to ask. On that vein of preparation, on that vein of knowing somebody, how important is it to get their trust? And have you ever had somebody say, hey, look, I don't want you talking about this subject. We can talk about anything else, but I don't want you talking about this. Or the flip side too is, hey, I really want to talk about this.
And what I've done, and I've respected that. If they don't, want to talk about certain things, then I don't bring them up. While I'm a student, I have to go by the rules. That's fine. If in the future I need an answer to something, then well, listen, we need an answer. What is your answer? Is it yes or no or no comment?
Right.
But if somebody wants to, talk about A, B, C, X, Y, Z, fine. Give me some material. I'll write down some questions on it, and then we'll go from there. That way they know that I'm taking into consideration what they want to do, and I'm either talking about what they want to talk about or not talk about what they want to talk about. So, the interview is not, it's not like, back and forth, like they're not happy about it, So I do what I can to appease all sides right now.
Gotcha. So you're a veteran, and where you're out, you're either you got a motorcycle club, you got a story to tell,
Mm-hmm.
you want to get started. It seems like the first thing you want to do is really understand what your idea is, and then figure out how you want to tell the story.
That's it. And it's like when I was, making my radio show for Massasoit, I'm like, okay, what don't we have? What do I like? What don't we have? And I did the Gen X flashback. And
That's right.
I have it on, I have it on Facebook, the Gen X flashback. And, every week I would play some songs from when we were growing up, which is good. And then I'd interview some people and things like that. Sometimes I'd veer off, off course, and I'd interview the president of Massasoit or somebody else or some things like that. But it would work out really well. And it's just, if you want to, you got to find your niche. You got to find what interests you and what you think will interest people. Now, is everybody going to be interested in, the Gen X flashback? You know what? The people that are part of the Gen X, they'll appreciate it.
Well, that's actually kind of how I want to kind of wrap this up as we wind down. A lot of people I meet are solely interested in the numbers. They want to pick up their phone and look at the counts on whatever feed they've got going on, Castbox, Stitcher, any platform, SoundCloud, YouTube, and okay, their measure of success is I have this many views per week. And I don't really agree with that. I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I'm like, you can have a million views about something. Well, okay, does 1 million views on a cat video, is that more substantive than 100 views from people who really want to find out about your idea or what you're doing? How do you answer that question?
It's tough because a lot of people look at social media because I just want to be, I want to enjoy things. Okay, that's why they'll look at the cat video. Oh, that's cute. Oh, look at Fluffy. That type of thing. Other people really want to find out information, and then they go to social media. Well, you're going to get the information from social media that they want to give you. That's it. Be it Twitter, be it Facebook, or whatever.
Right.
Again, you need to do your due diligence to get the right information. But I think people just, some people want to just enjoy it, and some people want to go that step further, like we need to do in our careers. They want to go that step further and find out, okay, what is actually going on? What will I find out from looking into this guy's podcast?
Gotcha.
What is he about?
Well, that's kind of the point of OMR. In Oscar Mike is on the move, or on mission to some groups, but it's mainly on the move.
Yep.
We're on the move, and it can be frustrating sometimes to put in the work to create the content, and I'm like, that's it. But then again, it's also encouraging when I'll tell you an example that happened this weekend. I got to see Richard Fitz Jr.'s premiere at the Abington Public Library about his documentary.
Yep.
And a couple people recognized, hey, you're the Oscar Mike guy. And doing this podcast has allowed me to meet people like Richard and tell their stories, or be a part of that moment. He had worked very, very hard with Rudy Childs to create this story about his dad, right? I mean, local guy, not a lot of money, not a lot of chance to really market and exposure, and to be a part of that. A very small part of it was still to see it coalesce on Saturday. Brian, was a great moment, and having that moment to me meant more than getting 100,000 likes off of any kind of video.
Oh yeah.
And I tell people, I mean, how important is it to be authentic?
The thing is, you are who you are. You can be on the radio and you can, make all the voices up and things like that. And, you can sound like either a nice guy if you want to purvey a nice guy on the radio, or a mean person. But people are going to see you on the street and you're not who you portray on the radio. No, you want to be who you are. And
Okay.
that's it. Because for me, I won't sugarcoat it. I won't, make you think something different. I am how I am, and I'll see you on the street. I'll shake your hand. If, we get along, great. If not, so be it. That's just the way. You've got to be authentic.
Yeah, because, well, I lost my train of thought again. What was I trying to say? Well, I've interviewed, that's what I'm trying to say. I've interviewed people, and I'm like, okay, this person, based on their social media feeds and what I've heard and seen, is exactly who they are, who I'm talking to right now. I don't have to worry about the fact that they're putting me on with some scam or some image they're trying to project. They are who they are.
Right, and they're not trying to tell you everything you want to hear. They're telling you exactly what they're about.
That means the most to me when someone actually does that, and I find that very valuable. Okay, I took the time to get to know them. This validates my effort. It's really great to see. So, what do you think is going to happen in the future, Rich, with media and content creation?
I think, and it's funny because I talked to a lot of people at Massasoit, and I talked to, matter of fact, even Jordan Rich. They're like, well, FM, I think AM and FM will still be around, won't be as much, but I think podcasts are going to be a big thing. I think they'll go, and there'll be different genres of podcasts nowadays. You'll go out and you'll get an MP3 and just plug it into your car and just let it go. Kind of like XM.
Right.
I think that's going to be the way of things going. Is everything's going to be done ahead of time, and then just let it roll. Like there's some people that they do a podcast from say Eastern Texas, and they just do a podcast around the world. It's phenomenal. You just do it, you send it into the station, and that's it.
Well, one of my growing pains, one of the things I'm trying to do that's not comfortable is this live work. Now, if we were doing a strict podcast, a lot of the audio and my mental lapses, and not because I'm
I know,
brain farting,
I know,
but
I
because
know.
it's like, okay, I'm trying to
You're
watch it.
juggling a lot of things.
Right. Would all be edited out
Yep,
and it'd sound
yep,
real pretty and it'd be a nice packaged product, but live,
But it wouldn't be real.
yeah, it wouldn't be real. And I've had some good times being real, but this is where I'm like, wow, doing this live is some real. You're going from right here to right here. I'm not saying that podcasters
Right.
in of themselves are not really stretching themselves, because you have to get your sound right and interact with the guests right. But for me right now and what we're doing, this live thing forces me to really expand in ways that I haven't had to.
Right.
So I feel it's valuable to do that, because a lot of times stuff will happen during a podcast. I'm like, okay, because like you said, you're prepared, you can make that next jump. So I is there going to be a 4th annual Dale Dorman event?
I'm sure there will be. I would assume it would be like next April,
Yeah.
April 2019. I'm definitely going to try to be involved as much as I can with it. Probably behind the scenes, because I'm going to let the kids and the classes and all that do their
No,
thing.
but
And
I've seen you for the past 3 years, and you were so kind every year to kind of, because you had the Army hat on. I'm like, hey, I'm a veteran, and that's how we started talking. So
Yeah.
it was good to see.
Yeah.
And as far as your Gen X show, where can people find that?
It's on Facebook, Gen X Flashback with Brian Richards. I've done multiple shows from Massasoit. As soon as I get to Curry College in January, I'm going to try to pick that back up and do more Gen X shows. I also want to do some shows for veterans, so I'll definitely have you on when I do my show over there.
Would love to come on and talk with you more and show you what I'm up to. And, this whole podcast, video cast, live cast has encompassed Semper Gumby, because
It's fun.
This is not how it was supposed to go, but it has been.
But it's the way it is, and we
Yeah,
just move on and
the way
we
it is.
enjoy it.
Make
Yeah.
it happen. Make it happen.
That's it.
Well, hey, Brian, thank you so much for coming on. I've had a
My
great
pleasure.
time doing this. It's Veterans Day, folks. Hope that you got to see a vet or thank a vet. And it's been a great weekend for me, and I'm glad to end it with talking to you, Brian.
Thank you, Travis. I appreciate it.
Hey, this is Oscar Mike Radio. I'm part of the Hoobazoo Network and Sinister One Productions. My name is Travis Parrington, and we are on the move.